So we're gonna, there we go. Okay, awesome. Let me turn it this way because my questions are over here. All right. Okay. Well, now you get to see me. Well, awesome. All right. Let's see, where are we? Back on track. Okay, so yeah, so I got a really cool question to ask. It's one of Tim Ferriss's questions. And one of the questions he asked is, what is one of your absurd or unusual habits? And, you know, thinking everything is relative, remember?
Yep. You know, I don't know if I have any absurd habits anymore. So, I mean, I like working out. So I work out quite a bit because it's working out for me is that stress relief. And so no matter how hard I'm working, how little sleep I'm getting, if I don't work out, I certainly don't feel good. And so I work out, and I love being here in Austin because I can run almost every day outside. So I can see your face, and that's not getting it.
Do you have kids?
I do. I've got 3 kids.
Okay, so what would your kids say is something that you do that embarrasses them?
Okay, so maybe this. I used to be a jazz musician. So when I was in graduate school, I played electric violin. So I played violin and then played electric violin and had a jazz band. So I love that style of music. And unfortunately, being in Cleveland, so just to kind of build stereotype on stereotype, being in Cleveland, you know what kind of music that is. Those are like line dances. It's like music from the 70s. It's, you know, that kind of stuff. So I really like that music. I play it really loud and embarrass my kids. So they get in the car and they're wondering why I'm playing Earth, Wind and Fire, why I'm playing George Duke, why I'm playing, you know, and they kind of look at me like, Dad, how old are you? You know, why are you listening to that kind of stuff? And so our kids will be around the house singing just the 2 of us with Grover Washington Jr. So songs like that are just kind of ingrained in me. I can't get them out. I play them all the time, and so I love 70s R&B.
Awesome. Okay, so how about this one? So what's a purchase of $100 or less that that has most positively impacted your life over the last 6 months to a year or so?
That is such an easy answer. It's date night with my wife. So Thursday nights we do date night. We typically don't spend very much money. It's going to be less than $100. And it's a great time to kind of decompress, not talk about some of the stuff we typically have to talk about. So it would be my less than $100 date night, which is probably less than $50 because we're just getting dessert or something.
Oh, that's a good one. I think you've got the best one yet. That's pretty good. How has a failure or apparent failure set you up for later success?
You know, it's amazing at how you perceive failure and how you see failure versus how you see learning. And maybe one of the toughest is actually one of the projects I worked on, and there's a patent on the back behind me for that project. And as I mentioned, we did incredible technical work and we solved all the technical milestones. The team really worked hard. We spent all sorts of extra hours. And you know, one of the things, and when you're making new films, so these are films that go into displays like a cell phone that you know, it takes a long time to make these. You start up the line and you run for 24 hours, 36 hours straight. So you're at the plant just running. And so we solved all these milestones. We got the product, it worked. And we found out, as I mentioned before, for business reasons, it failed. They weren't going to move forward and we couldn't do it. And that was just so devastating to me of understanding of my background, which was, hey, if you've got a technical problem, if you solve the technical problem, people are going to want it. And learning that, you know, there's so much more to creating value, so much more to creating that differentiated product, so much more in commercialization that's required. And fortunately, I was with a great group of folks. That's when I went back to business school, really began to understand how to create value with technology. Some things changed and it became a major business for 3M. So it was really exciting to see that transformation happen. But it really was a big learning experience for me of just how something that looks, if you don't focus on all the right things, how many other things can just happen and fall apart if you're not looking at the big picture. And so it really taught me of how do I look at the big picture, look at all the things that can go well, all the challenges, and even if some of them aren't my responsibility, it's still important to be looking at them and ask those questions. So again, maybe going back to believing and asking, is continue to see those gaps, see those places where you can have an impact, even if it isn't something that you directly have responsibility for, but just kind of stepping into those things and see what happens.
And I think you probably have answered this, but just officially, when you feel overwhelmed or unfocused, what do you do to get back to center?
So one of the big areas is when I feel lack of focus, I love mind maps. So I am a mind mapper. And so I have the tools that will help me make mind maps, and I do it on paper and I just draw them out. And again, coming up a level of abstraction, seeing that big picture, drawing it all out, and then just looking at it and just kind of working through, okay, what do I have to do first? What do I have to do second? What do I have to do third? How do I just kind of start working through this system? And if I can then figure that out, it becomes so much easier because I'm now going step by step by step instead of being overwhelmed by the big picture. And sometimes a good workout in between will really help. Go lift something heavy that I can get beat up by some weights. I feel much better about the situation.
Oh my God, my sweetie, he has a PhD as well, and he kills me with this mind mapping thing. Oh my God. So when you said that, it was like, because he's like, Anita, if you can just focus and just do this. And I'm like, so
I like him already.
I tell you, yeah. I operate a lot in chaos, which of course he hates, as you can imagine. So the mind mapping thing, it just drives me crazy though, because I don't know, maybe it reminds me of the military, maybe that's why.
But it's just so great to be able to have this big picture and just see everything come together. I don't know if I have I have mine here on my desk somewhere, but I never go anywhere without it. I always have it, and it's just a great way to keep up with everything. Oh, here it is.
Oh my God. Oh, the way you guys think, hey, somebody's got to do it. Okay. In the last
and we need you too. We couldn't do it without you.
Right. It takes all kinds. I know, it takes all kinds. My ex is he's an engineer, and of course he's very technical. And I remember whenever I couldn't sleep, I'd say, "Tell me about work." Because it's like he's so academic. It's like you can't speak to people like on a 8th grade level. It's like I don't think like you guys think. It's very different when you're creative, right? I consider being a creative, and it's very different. So yeah,
but I think it's so important to be able to translate, and that's been maybe one of my life lessons, is really being able to translate, because I had to learn how to. So when you're looking for funding, or where you're looking for people to give you buy-in, they don't care about how complex it is. And actually, the more complex it sounds, the more resistance they are to plugging in. And so how important it is to get to those critical things. And that's why I mentioned that those paradigm shifts of really understanding, hey, what's that paradigm shift? We're trying to take you from here to there. And it's almost, hey, imagine if you could do this. Yeah. What would you then be able to do? And really getting people to imagine what that is, and then taking them on that journey from where they are today, what we're going to do to help you get there, and then creating that vision, and then understanding all the dynamics around that, and really in order to bring it to life. And again, that goes back to that faith piece and commercialization.
Absolutely. What is one of the best or most worthwhile investments you've ever made? And it could be anything: money, time, energy,
Best investments. I would really say my family, and maybe this comes from some of the experiences I've recently had through some of my medical issues, of just understanding, there are times when you can't do anything for yourself, where you're going to be in a certain mental state, you'll be in a certain physical state or a spiritual state, where there's no one but your family who can really step up and make a difference. So I will say the absolute best investment is just the time with my kids, the time with my family, with my parents, as they're getting older, and you certainly see the changes that happen in them. So I would say the best the best investment is really the time that you have in those relationships with those people who are close to you, because it's incredible how they can pour into you and really touch you in a way that very little else can.
Very good. In the last 5 years, just make sure I was recording. I was like, oh, Great. Okay. Over the last 5 years, how have you become better at saying no? And how has that helped?
Oh, that's a phenomenal question. Understanding how to say no is so important. And how I've gotten better at learning how to say no is really understanding what I'm good at and where I can really help. Because so many times there's lots of things you can do, but how do you really have that impact? How can you really help? As I think you've highlighted before, you only have but so much time. Time is one of those investments that no matter how well I invest it, I can never get more. You can make investments with money and make more money, but you can't invest your time and make more time. You've got what you've got. So, learning how to say no is so important because there are certain areas you can really help and be a difference. And there are other areas that you say yes because of a relationship and then regret it and realize, you know what, I can never get that time back. So, really having a passion around where I can help and where I can make a difference has really helped me to say no, because now instead of saying no, I'm really just saying yes to those places I can have a big impact and really make a difference. And I really try to do that in science, innovation, commercialization areas. And then also in areas where I can teach, certainly some of the areas where you can teach and help enable other people are really where I try to really invest most of my time at this point. Just all about staying in your lane.
Exactly. Yeah, that's very, very key.
Maybe once I had a job, I'll tell a quick story. I once had a job and it was the toughest opportunity of my life, but it was so fun to be in this job. It was really interesting. I was running a software service business. So after I did my MBA, I moved into a new role. It was a pure business management role, and I was running a software service business. So running the software service business was different. We built new technology, we built a new business model. So it was really exciting to be part of and building. But then once we built the software service model, the business became, my job was all about getting more people to the website and figuring out how to get them further through the website. So my job became writing content, developing better content. And that was what the role really became. And so I told my supervisor at the time, you know what, I'm not the right person for this role. You can find someone else who could probably do a much better job of it. And that was really hard as an individual because that was my livelihood. That was my job. And thankfully, 3M's a phenomenal place. And I was able to find another role that was a great fit. But it's really about knowing where your lane is. And I was great at helping to build it and build the business model, get things set up, run the prototypes to get things started. But when it came to the optimization side of that business, that just wasn't what I was good at, of writing content and building new web pages. I could do it, but I wasn't as efficient as someone who was an expert in that area was. So that was a tough decision personally to have to make, but probably one of the better calls I've made from my career standpoint.
So I don't think I've asked you this one yet. So tell me what it's like being a Black man in technology.
That's a great question because I think it brings on so many layers. There's so many layers that go along with it. And there's so many pieces of leadership that just come along with that as well. So first, I love being in technology because it's an area where you can help people. Do things they couldn't do before. And there's a tangible thing that comes out of the end of it. So that's an area I really enjoy being part of. However, being Black in this space, there aren't a lot of people who look like you. So you really have to be comfortable being in these spaces. And one of the fun parts about my job is before COVID, I used to travel internationally. I would go all over the world, work with people. And I will tell you, one of the cool things about being Black in technology is if you show up someplace internationally, they know you know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Because typically many of the peers and the people I met with hadn't met someone else who was Black before, hadn't seen someone Black in my role before. And so if I was there, they knew I knew what I was talking about. Otherwise, there would be no way I was there. Wow. And so that was kind of an interesting kind of interaction to have. Being in Europe, being in Asia, being in Latin America, and having some of these interactions, it was great to be part of. The other piece is I love most scientists are scientists. And the great thing about scientists being scientists I think you have a much better way, and many people are far more receptive to running the experiment, having the engagement, looking at observation. So people are trained in each of these areas. So if you can start the experiment, I've been really impressed with just some of the interactions I've had. And even if it doesn't happen immediately, it's incredible to see these things happen later. I had an individual who was on my team, and I made a comment about something that was related to race. And probably 5 or 6 years later, she came back to me and said, "Wow, Terry, I really get it now, what you were saying." So I think it's great to be able to see when working with scientists and folks in technology, because people are used to doing experiments and willing to challenge some of their assumptions, that's a great place that if you can tap into to really continue to build from. Did you get that? I think you're muted.
Yeah, he was, you know how boys are. I have boys, and they will not stop calling you until you answer. It does not matter, because it's like you're supposed to be waiting for them to call. And your wife, I'm sure, do you guys have boys?
I have 2 girls and a boy. My boy's in 3rd grade, so he can't call yet.
Yeah, but it's like it's amazing, because it's like doesn't matter where they are in the world. If they call, they figure, they just keep calling, because it's like, well, whatever she's doing, she'll stop, because I'm more important than anything else she's doing in the world. And they will keep calling until I answer. And then one of my oldest, he'll say, "Well, Mom, well, I want to come over to see you." And why? I'm like, "Well, I'm not in town." Well, why would you leave? I mean, it's like, that's my life. I mean, this kid he's 27. I have a 27-year-old and 14, and they're both rotten. They're just rotten. Yeah, rotten.
Well, they sound like they love Mom.
And they're rotten. But speaking of which, who's your favorite person?
Who is my favorite person? My wife. She's absolutely wonderful. And I'm so fortunate, because, you really begin to look at relationships, and, when you have challenges, when you have, really those moments to have those kinds of discussions that are both good, both challenging, it's great to have somebody by your side who understands. We've been married for 20 years now. We just had our 20th anniversary in June. Yes, in June. I'm sure it's June, and it was great. So I've really appreciated having her and her support. And she's completely different from me. She brings a completely different perspective. She's far more ordered than I am, and kind of has everything laid out. So she brings a different perspective, and certainly challenges me in a lot of great ways.
That's awesome. So you said you had kids. So tell me what do you think your kids will say about you once you're gone?
Well, I hope my kids say about me once I'm gone that I spent a lot of time with them and had a lot of fun with them. So number one is try to connect. One of the things I think is so important is to be able to connect with your kids. To be able to have those conversations, because they deal with so many things that I never had to deal with at their age. And so connecting is a lot easier with my youngest, who's in 3rd grade, than my oldest, who's in 10th grade, who would prefer to stay in her room with the door shut most of the time. So, but it's about finding those moments just to connect. The second would be just learning how to be a hard worker. I think it's absolutely critical that we love seeing success, but we don't necessarily like looking at all the work that goes behind it. Being in Minnesota, after Prince passed, I got a chance to go to his house. And one of the things that was absolutely incredible in his house is he had this desk, and he had a monitor with a VCR in it. And he would sit down with each band member and watch the entire performance of the rehearsal and critique them and have this meeting with them on how they did. And so I can only imagine how painful it must have been to be in a meeting with Prince, with him telling you everything he did wrong. But guess what? We all loved going to his shows and seeing how perfect they were. So I think so often, another person I'm a big fan of is Kobe Bryant, and just his work ethic and what he did. He would get up at 5:36 in the morning so he can get extra workouts. So he'd get 4 workouts in during a day. So we love seeing him play. We love seeing the results. But just the work that it takes to be able to get there, and that none of us are created gifted out of the womb, and all of us, it takes the work to get there. So really hoping that I can teach my kids how important it is to become a hard worker. And, I tell them, I don't care what it is that you decide to be a hard worker in, just pick something and really get that work ethic. So I hope they know how much I care and love them regardless of just because of who they are. And then the second piece is just encouraging them to be hard workers and really figure something out. And obviously that's a tightrope to walk, but I try to do the best I can at that.
So how do you want to be remembered?
I really want to be remembered as someone who cared about people, cared about the space around me, and tried and really did everything I could to try to make things better. As you look at your family, you want your family to be better because of your family. I joke with my wife, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I joke with my wife about, I hope you're happier now that you're married to me than you were beforehand. Right? I mean, those are the things you really want to make sure you understand is how do you create these environments around you? How does the team feel better because I'm here than if I wasn't here? And how do you create these environments? Because I think so many times we get caught up in just what we have to do and really don't think about how do we make everything better around us? How do we develop the people around us? How do we develop the technology that we're working on? How do we help the community? How do we help the community be better? Excited about 3M. We have science for climate. We have science. We're looking at how do we apply our science to make the world around us better. So I get to be part of efforts happening globally on the environment, globally on how do we increase the use of electricity? How do we increase the use of sustainable energy? How do we increase how do we increase the education that kids get access to? So we get to be part of that. And that's really what I'm passionate and I hope to be remembered for, of really, how did I help make things around me better?
I think you've already answered that one.
So please don't forget to think about my wife. I might get in trouble.
Which one? Which one?
My wife being happier that.
Oh God, no. But yeah, no, that I would never. Did you say, tell me your best place, the best place you've ever lived?
I love Austin. It's been great. My parents are probably gonna be very disappointed that I didn't say Pittsburgh, but I love Austin. It's great to be able to be outdoors 24/7. My backyard is part of my house now because I can be outside. So really, really like Austin.
What's a favorite book or a book you'd recommend?
Oh gosh, I love books. So I'm a book junkie. Right now, I'm listening to President Obama's book, which is just amazing, which I really enjoy just hearing the backstory of everything he did. One of my favorite books is called Blue Ocean Strategy. And it's a really phenomenal book because it challenges you to look at a space and how you look at strategic groups within that space and how you differentiate. And I think it applies to so many areas. It's really about how do you find your lane, focus in your lane, and let everything else be. And the example they use is Cirque du Soleil compared to Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. And just how Cirque du Soleil got rid of the most expensive portions of the circus, which were the animals and all the animal care, and instead replaced them with people and music and lights. And so they were able to charge 10x for tickets compared to the typical circus that also had higher costs. So they were able to decrease cost and increase price to create a differentiated experience for customers that people stood in line to be able to get tickets to. The typical circus couldn't even would struggle to sell all their tickets. And so how do you continue to see about how do you create value for both you, your customers, and the entire space you're in? And I think so often we focus on red oceans, which are just one-upmanship of features and I got to add a little more of this or a little more of that, instead of saying, hey, how do I really create value? And I think that's not just in products, but it's in time with people. It's in where you invest your time. And so I really like the concept and the thinking around Blue Ocean Strategy, which is what are the things that I can maximize in my life, in things around me to have the biggest impact? And what are those things I can decrease, which really don't add any value for me?
What do you enjoy doing in your leisure time?
I have 3 kids, so I have very little leisure time. So I'll start there. But I really enjoy, I read a lot, as I mentioned. So I'm an avid reader. So love reading books and learning. I'm always trying to learn something new. So always taking some sort of class somewhere or somehow. So enjoy doing that. As you can probably imagine, after my degrees, I continued to want to go back to school, but I knew I had to stop. And so now just take classes on my own different ways. So enjoy that quite a bit. Whether it's MIT OpenCourseWare, whether it's something online. I really enjoy doing that in my free time, and then just spending time with my kids. So everything from coaching t-ball to soccer practices, and so just all sorts of activities with them.
What are you most proud of?
This should be an easy question, but it's always really tough for me, because you really think about, so there's so many dimensions of areas that you can be excited and proud about. I have all sorts of pride and excitement over the success my kids are having in some of the areas. So seeing them go from something that they didn't believe they can do to believing and trying, and then seeing them have success in that area has been really exciting for me, and encouraging kids and my kids in some of the areas that I know nothing about, but just helping, encouraging them and seeing them have success. And so that's been really exciting for me. So maybe one specific example, my daughter wants to go into acting. I know nothing about acting whatsoever. So she's tried it. We've given her some experiences, and she actually was selected to be in a performance for Christmas, a pretty big performance with some nationally recognized folks. So really excited about just kind of seeing her success in an area where she had no experience, we had no experience, and seeing it just blossom and grow. So I think the thing I'm most proud of is just, I can tell a lot of stories such as that of people that I've gotten to be around, and things that we didn't believe we can do, had that success, and then we're able to really walk into our things. And I mean, I could use everything from graduate school. I would have had no idea that I could have a PhD. I didn't know anyone else who looked like me that had a PhD, but we started, I got to start the program, and had some great folks around me, showed up, worked hard, and it was really exciting to see things unfold, to really create some incredible work and see that work continue after I left. So I could give you so many lists of things I'm just so thankful and grateful for. But I guess instead of pride, I would say just, I'm humbled by just how I've been incredibly blessed in so many areas, and just really thankful, and trying to continue helping others.
Awesome. And this is the last question. What does it mean to be nominated as our top 10 lawyer? Because again, you had to be nominated, and it was not Roger. And I'm telling you, so funny story is, I talked to Roger on Sunday, and he goes, "Oh yeah," I said, "Terry said that he thought that you recommended." He goes, "Yeah, I told him I did." I was like, "Roger, you did not. You did not. You did not." But anyway, he took credit for it, but we're gonna let Roger take care. But it was not, because you have to also remember, what I do is, we get nominations in, and then, so based off the nominations and based off what people say, I start to do my research. That's why people see I'm stalking them on, on LinkedIn and stuff, because people are like, "Oh, I saw you on my profile." Because I'm like, researching to see who you are, what you've done, just to make sure you meet the qualifications and, all of that. And so then once I've kind of gotten about 15 on the list, then we go and start knocking them off. So that's what happens. And then we have tech people look at the list, and they'll say, nope. Why isn't this person on here? So I swear to God, that's how it goes. And so, yeah. So this year it was like, I think the only person that wasn't on the list first is because I just forgot, was Peter Walker. And I actually know his wife, and completely forgot about him. And so once we had the list, and someone said, "Oh, what about, Peter?" It's like, "Oh crap," So yeah, but he was the only one that was not on the first list. But yeah, I mean, it's totally your peers and other people in tech. Because to me, it's like, who else is going to really know what you do and the importance of the work that you do, is other people who are also executives and, doing the work. So So yeah, so everybody spoke very highly of all of you guys. And so yeah, so it's, you guys are just kind of, you're operating in a silo pretty much, I mean, nobody knows you. Nobody knows, you guys are just working hard, doing your thing. And that's how a lot of these folks are. And, so when I approach you, it's usually, that's why I announced it first, because, I announce you first, so you can't say no. Right? Because if I ask you, you'll say, no, Anita, I don't, that's not really my thing. And it isn't, because it's none of your things, right? You don't want to be in the limelight. You enjoy doing your work, and you just, it's cool. And I'm like, bump that. I mean, if I can get the first Black Supreme Court Justice of Texas, and he is so introverted. I mean, extremely, Wallace Jefferson is so introverted. But it was so funny when we met, and he was just a talker. I was like, oh my God, this guy, he's such a good guy. And he sent me a little card afterwards saying, how much he enjoyed the interview and everything. Because it's one of those opportunities for you to share your story with your people, right? Because a lot of times people see you in these high positions and they just assume, you're born, with a silver spoon, and so they don't know that you come from places just like them. It's just that you worked your way up, and then you had opportunities and you took advantage, and, but you persevered through a lot, right? I mean, that's what people don't see. They don't see the work, right? They just see you're in this great position, and, and they see you as, I'm serious, they see you as almost like the president of the United, serious, the governor. I mean, that's the kind of play. I mean, I've had people come up to me at events and say, oh my God, I've seen this person, so many times. They're at their company, right? At working at the same company. And he talked to me.
I'm sure they're just as happy to talk to them and don't even realize it.
Yeah, one of the guys, he was, I think it was at IBM, and he was saying somebody who was at the event said, hey, my son just started working at IBM. Was it IBM? Yeah, IBM. And he goes, my son just started working there. He goes, really, what's your son's name? And so he took his son's name down, emailed him in the directory. And so then his dad is the one telling me about it. And he goes, this guy calls my son and invites him to lunch. And then he's like, and my son is like, what did I do? Like, he thought he did something wrong. He goes, why is he calling me? And what did I do? And so then he's like, when they met for lunch, he goes, I met your dad at this event and just wanted to let you know that, I'm here if you need anything, blah, blah, blah. He was like, I didn't even know what he was like, I sounded so stupid. I was just like, duh, so it's great. So I kind of make you guys human, I guess is the way I put it, so.
No, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it so much because, I've had so many of those same experiences of just some of the challenges of being the only, of not necessarily being wanted in some of the places that you are, having to prove that you're as smart, having to prove that you can do what everybody else can do. And so, yeah, it's important to have that champion to really help and to believe in you and to then make that champion look good.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me what that is behind you, you were saying?
Oh, these are patent plaques. So these are patents, and these are different things that I've gotten to be part of teams that invented, and we invented some really cool technologies that some are commercial in products. So if you have an LCD TV, most likely one of the films that are inside of that came from is on the wall. And then we also made a number of other new technologies. Some are developed, some are in the process of developing. And then I have a gold step award, which is on the bottom, which is when you sell a product that sells a certain amount of money, you get that recognition.
Wow, that's amazing. That's awesome. Well, like I said, that's my last question. So is there anything else that you'd like to share?
What was your last question? I don't know if I answered it.
What does it mean to you to be chosen as a top 10 technologist?
Yes. It's such an honor to be able to be recognized for the work. And you couldn't have summed it up better, because, you come in every day, try to do the absolute best you can, and really have an impact. And as you can hear from some of the things I've said, my passion is to have an impact and make things better for everyone around me. And through the challenges, through business cycles, through great markets, through challenge markets, through when technology and experiments work and when they don't, and some of the good surprises and some of the not so good surprises of just really trying to make a difference. So, it's really exciting to be part of this group. I mean, it's an incredible group to be part of. When you look at the companies and the titles, I have never met any of these other individuals, but looking forward to it. But just as you begin to look at the titles and the roles, it's a real honor to be part of a group like this. So really appreciate you and the work that you're doing and being able to receive this recognition. Thank you.
Well, we're excited. We're definitely excited. And so what we do at the gala, normally we have a reception for each of the top 10s. And then at the gala, we announce the person of the year. So like out of each of the top 10s, we choose a person of the year. So like, so now we'll, at the gala, everybody will get their recognition, their award for being on the top 10. And then we'll announce whoever is the top 10 person for the year. So it's actually pretty cool. Last year it was Ed Ward at Dell. And
cool.
He's just just amazing human being. But yeah, so so it's going to be really hard. So I can't wait to see see what the tallies look like, because I mean, it's a lot fire. You guys are fire this year. It's Ed was just, he was out there, it was kind of clear last year Ed was the guy, but this year it's going to be pretty hard. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what the numbers look like and see what it shakes out. Because
Well, you probably know what I'm going to say, and I'm just glad to be on the list. I'm just glad to be in the number, right? So thank you for the recognition. Thank you for this. And this has been great to meet you. Thanks for coming on camera.
Same here. Yeah, sorry. I'm telling you, I'm terrible with all of this stuff. It's pretty, I mean, we've all been probably zoomed out almost, but
I'll say I really enjoy this now, because I get to travel the world every single day and just have lots of meaningful conversations with different people everywhere. I try to leave my camera on as much as possible so you can make as much kind of that connection.
Exactly.
And obviously I'm looking forward to doing more of this in person, but to be able to have kind of time with so many different people and get so many other groups together, it's a lot of fun for me, because we can have some really good conversations and discussions that now that everyone's kind of used to this kind of environment. So this is kind of the standard in a way that it wasn't before.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I tell you, when we do the receptions, and it's more of a small, intimate kind of a thing, and we have, I think last year we had like 3 Dell and 2 IBM, and having them all in the same room, it was hilarious, because they both were like top sponsors, so they got to speak. And so I think one of the ladies was saying how, I don't know if it was IBM or Dell, but one of them, they were saying, oh, they're like #1 in the technology. And so of course the other table's like, wait, so it was so cute, because they were just like, wait. Remember, we both are in Austin, so it's good to see a lot of these other companies. Because I mean, honestly, 3M, I would have never guessed that 3M had, this type of, department. So that's why it's really cool that, you have such a cool job there.
Well, yeah, it's great. I'm glad to be here and hoping to continue to have an impact.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll see you on November 20th. And I think, if you haven't already, send me a photo. I need a photo, like a 3/4 length photo. And I think I sent a sample of it. And so so send that.
Okay.
Get you done.
All Sounds right. Good.
Well, enjoy
and then maybe last thing for that photo, jacket and shirt as well.
Yeah, please. Professional, or I mean, just like the look you have right now is perfect. It's perfect. That's kind of the look we're looking for.
Sounds good.
When I, get all you guys in the same way. I know in tech world, people probably think you're going for a job interview if you come in with a coat on, but so thanks that was the first thing Peter Walker said. He goes, what's this thing about a jacket? I know, but you guys conform, so I appreciate it.
For sure.
All right. Well, you guys take care. And I hope, like I said, I hope to see you guys and your wife on November 20th.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.